let's move on to a zoom out question on how you think about investing. Because we actually got this question by a handful of listeners last time and we just didn't have time to get to it. But uh, I think a lot of people noticed how much cash you hold in your portfolio. Like it might be over 20%, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And so I want to know, why do you hold so much cash? What's the purpose? How do you think about like where do you want your cash to be?
that's a great question. I mean, my cash position in 2021 was as high as like 50% because I felt like the macro level things were just nothing seemed interesting to me to buy at the valuations in 2021. Everything felt like way overpriced, and therefore I actually had more than 50% of my portfolio in cash. And some stupid mistake I made is that I had a bunch of it in bonds, in
Didn't you
treasuries
have
and
some of
things.
it in AT&T?
And
Or
yeah, and I had a lot of it in even the portion that I was invested in like basically what I considered relatively safe, like high dividend yield stocks like AT&T, for example. Uh, and there was a couple others as well. But which was actually all a really good thing because 2021 happened to be the sort of peak, and then the market started crashing in 2022, and that's when I started to buy pretty heavily. So having cash, a substantial amount of cash around for big corrections is like such a blessing, right? When the market this year, even in April, went down because of the tariff things, right? I ended up deploying a lot of that cash, and I went down to around 10% of cash. Um, so, what is my general rule? I think I like to have around 20% of cash in my portfolio so that as I identify an opportunity, I can just buy it without having to think of it as I have to sell something in order to buy something. Um, but uh, in an ideal world, if I knew that the market was like only going to go up, obviously I would want all of my portfolio deployed to stocks. But because of that unknown factor, the risk factor, I think having a significant amount of cash is a good thing. 20% seems like a decent number right now. I don't feel like the market is like extremely overvalued, although it just feels like it's on the overvalued side of things. So, in the coming months, I suspect I'm going to increase my cash position if the market just continues to go up as a percentage of my portfolio. So, as we hit record numbers, I think, by the way, like the stuff that I'm selling is the stuff that has also on the higher end of that spectrum in terms of like the valuations, right? Like I'm selling Robinhood and Rocket Lab because if these stocks were to have in value tomorrow, which would still mean that they're up 5x or, like whatever over the past 2 years, it's still an amazing result. I don't want to lose half of my portfolio, right? So a lot of the cash is a result of me selling the stuff that has done really well and might be like on the side of um, really high valuations as opposed to like very low valuations. So I wouldn't sell, for example, Bumble or Rivian to raise cash levels,
Mhm.
just as a couple
Right.
examples.
Yeah, like also think it just helps balance the general risk factor of your portfolio because you have few holdings and it's in theory fairly high risk. Having high
Right.
risk, high cash creates this nicer balance.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Um, Yeah, and another way to sort of like also one other consideration, just like not everyone is obviously in my boat, but I'm not employed and I don't have a salary. I don't have any other income, right? Um, so from my perspective, if like in order to sort of like live my lifestyle, I don't want to be forced to sell stock in order to like pay for my next year's worth of lifestyle or even 2 years worth of lifestyle. So having that cash cushion kind of like eases my sort of mindset in terms of my long-term thinking, in that like I don't need to be stressed about where's my expenses going to come from, or how am I going to cover my expenses over the next couple of years. I got plenty of cash to be able to cover my expenses over the next couple of years, and I don't need to worry about it from that perspective. So um, so even if the sort of like market was to do a 50%, like if my holdings were to go down 50% tomorrow, um, I could just ride it out and be super patient and wait 3 years if necessary, or 4 years if necessary, before I'm like forced to have to sell anything in order to sort of like pay for expenses.
Yeah, I
So
think
that's another sort of like mindset that.
like the metric of can I sleep tonight? Like, can I comfortably sleep tonight? Like
Yeah.
is important, and you should always be able to easily sleep regardless of what you're doing.